We make space for what you believe and what you love. Your whole self is welcome here. In this community of open-hearted inclusion for all people, we do not expect you to think a certain way or restrict yourself to one set of beliefs. We only ask that you try to live a kindly, helpful life with the dignity proper to a human being. Welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect and deeper than any set of opinions. Welcome all who might find in our friendship strength and encouragement for daily living. We are so grateful that you are here. My name is Jessie Sanchez, and I am the service leader today. My pronouns are she, her. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether you're watching online or here in person. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversation downstairs. Today, right after the service, we're having a meeting, but after that, we will be downstairs enjoying some food and conversation. So please, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to silence your phones, but if you would like to post online on your socials some exciting pictures or maybe some quotes even about the service today. So we are ready for announcements, and today is our annual congregational meeting. The meeting will take place in the meeting house following the service. Any members of the congregation will vote on annual business items of the church, including the 2024 to 2025 leadership slate, the 2024-2025 budget, and our UUA GA delegates, and some minor bylaw revisions regarding coach. So if you have announcements, please remember to come up to the microphone, speak very clearly. It should be that microphone right there. And make sure it's for church-sponsored events, programs, and information. Also, just make sure that you're brief. Anybody have any announcements today?
Morning, Marie Laurie, Social Justice. Please join us tonight at 7 o'clock in Adams Hall. I know it's an all UU day, but we will be writing letters again for Get Out the Vote. Thanks.
Okay, so you can check our website for any other announcements. We also send out e-blasts weekly with other events and news of upcoming events. So please rise, if you are willing and able, for our hymn in the gray hymnal, number 358, Rank by Rank, Again We Stand.
Thank you. What wonderful singing this morning. I love seeing your beautiful faces on this, our flower ceremony day. My name is Reverend Karen Madrone, and I have the privilege of serving this congregation. My pronouns are she and hers. Our opening words, which are also our chalice lighting words, are from Thomas Rhodes. It's called All of Us Are Beautiful. We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches. Some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inward, and some of us spread ourselves out wide. Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground, and some of us stretch high toward the sun. Some of us feel like weeds sometimes. Some of us carry seeds sometimes. Some of us are prickly sometimes. Some of us smell, and all of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are. Let us light our chalice today in the hope of love, the joy of beauty, and our desire for a new world that makes space for us all. Would you please light our chalice? Let us join together in our shared mission, which is on the inside of your order of service. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion.
Marissa, illustrated by Marissa Napolitano. It is, isn't it? So, The Beauty of Us All. And once we get here, we did have it come up, little technical difficulties, but we'll get it. In the meantime, if there's any youth that want to come up, and we have a little room here to look at the screen, or we have some room in the pew in the front and in the second pew here. You can come up and get a little closer look if you want. Come on. Yeah, because then you get to walk under the rainbow bridge or arch. There we go. Oh, is it for me? This is the best part of my job. Which I really don't call it a job because it's so much fun. Can you see the screen here? You can all come here and sit here and see the screen. Just be careful, the vase, the flowers. There you go. All right. It's getting there. I could just read it and show the pictures on a small scale if it can't come up. Can I get this to you to hold? Thank you. How's everybody doing today? Great. Such a beautiful morning, sun shining. I see so many beautiful smiling faces amongst these gorgeous flowers. I wish there was smell-o-vision on YouTube there because it smells amazing up here. I could just read the story if it doesn't come up. That's okay. We'll make do, right? We can use our imagination. Here, let's scoot back just a little bit, though. Just a little bit. There you go. That makes me feel just a tiny bit better. All right, we're getting it. It's working. James works his magic. Kindle. You lost a tooth. Yay! Ah. Thank you for being so patient. Aha, there we go. The beauty of us all. Thank you, James. It's kind of small. Yeah, it's not small as here, right? All right. Look at these majestic fish. They each have unique colors and characteristics. Aren't they amazing? Their beauty is marvelous, all different, yet the same, just like us. Their uniqueness makes them even more beautiful. Whoop. Hey, look, I can zoom in. But I need the words.
Snow. Yeah, snow.
Have you ever caught snowflakes on your tongue?
Yes. I keep trying to.
I've tried.
If you take a close look, you will be amazed at what you see. Each one is special in its own way. Have you ever watched clouds in the sky and marveled at their unique shapes? Perhaps one looked like a dancing bear or a running rabbit. I've seen lots of dragons too. Yeah. The different shapes of the clouds allow us to appreciate their beauty. Have you ever looked at the leaves in the fall? All of their amazing colors are enough to take your breath away, especially here in Michigan. Now look closer and you will see there's beauty within the beauty. Even when leaves are the same color, there is an orchestra of patterns in their veins. Have you ever gazed up at the stars? Perhaps you noticed all of their different colors and sizes as they twinkled in unison in the magical sky. We are all beautiful, created with unique skills, passions, and characteristics. Even our brains are wired differently, and that's beautiful. Look at my complexion, now look at yours. We all have different shades to our skin, just like these amazing fish with all their wonderful colors. Look at the color of this fish. Now look at the color of this one. They are both magnificent. All over this world and all around us, we see this beauty in the people and things surrounding us. We see it in our skin, we see it in our hair, we see it in our faces. You're right. Well, thank goodness we have mirrors to see our own beautiful faces, huh?
What if the video is lying?
I don't think it lies.
What if it's real?
We are all different because we are all made to be beautiful. And when we see our differences, we celebrate them. We embrace them because they are beautiful. So thank you for listening to this wonderful story. And with that, we are going to go downstairs and get ready for planning our youth-led service.
And now we are going to do a special member recognition time. So I would like you to call to mind when you joined UCF. Just bring that thought to your mind. Membership in UU congregations is a joy and a privilege. There is no obligation to be here. Nobody's guilting you into being here. There is no outside thing that says you have to be here because of something you did in the past. You are here out of joy and commitment. Members make commitments to this spiritual community. They, you, and many others who are not here today, they commit to regular participation, leadership, and financial support. Becoming a member says to themselves, to yourself, when you signed this book, I am throwing my lot in with these people. I believe in the importance of having a liberal religious home in this area for now, yes, and into the future. Members commit to being in relationship, listening, supporting, and growing. They, you, are long-haul people who voluntarily choose this spiritual home of love and commitment. It truly is a special act to choose to be a part of this congregation. Some of you have joined within this past year. Others joined within the last 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, or maybe even longer. Please bring to mind the year you joined. Contemplate on the moment you signed the membership book. Maybe you remember that moment. Maybe you remember the person who was with you when you signed the book. Was it in a hurry? Was it a moment with others around you? What was that like for you? Call to mind that moment or that feeling. In a moment, I'm going to ask everyone to stand and sit down by that time that they joined. So think on not only the year, but how many years back was that for you? Do you have that number in mind? Okay. So when your decade is called or your time is called, then you will stand and we will applaud you, and then you will sit back down. So stand up if you have been a member of this congregation for less than 5 years. Yay! Thank you. Who has been a member here for 5 to 10 years? "10 to 20 years. Wow. "20 to 30 years. Wow. How about 30 to 40 years? Okay, 40 to 50. All right. Anybody beyond 50 to 60? Wow. Yay, Joan. That's right. Yes, we are honoring people. Do we know when? I think George joined in 67. Is he before or after you?
George and I joined in 1967.
Yes. So, and Barb Windsor is our longest member. I can't remember which year, 1960, 61?
61 or 63, something
Yeah.
like that. She and her husband greeted us at the door the first time we came.
So we have some long haul people here, don't we? Let's give everybody a big round of applause for all your commitment. Thank you all. And now we're going to recognize our leaders for the work that they have done this year. It's amazing how time I think sometimes time both crawls and it flies at the same time. And so last fall, we did a membership dedication of all of those members who were elected into their positions at last year's congregational meeting. And now we are going to have a moment to recognize all of those members who served this year. And so Diane Nolan, as the nominating committee chair, is going to come up and lead this part of our service.
If you look in your order of service, there's a handout that gives you your congregational response for this. Will these leaders please come forward? Our executive board, Liz Knight, Barb Bedlington, Linda Brown, Jamie Sanchez, and Mark Petrie.
Come all the way up to the front, all the way up.
And our committee chairs, Tom Borkland, Hope Sorensen, Marie Lowry, Jim Tedesco, Katie Coker, Jesse Sanchez, and Karen Duguay. These are the people this congregation called to serve UUCF last year. Will the congregation please join in thanking this year's elected leaders? Your line, guys. Of this congregation, thank you for your work for this congregation, guided by the vision we express in our shared affirmation of mission. Executive Board, members of the Executive Board, you were charged with keeping sight of the big picture, with holding UUCF's vision, honoring our past, and guiding us towards our future. Thank you for all the work you did this year.
We're grateful for the opportunity to serve this congregation and to learn and grow together.
Committee chairs, you were charged with keeping sight of your particular piece of our community's mosaic, with advocating for the needs of the area of our communal life, which is your specific concern, and for working with one another for the common good of the whole. Thank you for all the work you did this year.
We are grateful for the opportunity to serve the congregation and to work collaboratively together to serve the whole.
There is a cycle to life. Everything has a middle, a beginning, and an end. This is true of life, it's true of communities, and yes, it's even true of leadership positions. We would now like to honor Liz Knight for serving as the board president for 3 one-year terms. Liz is going to step down from her role and move into other areas of service to UUCF. Let us honor this cycle of leadership with the transition with a shared litany. Membership, your line is, "For this we thank you." For this we thank you. Liz, you have served UUC well, and for this we thank you. At the end of June, you will complete your service as the exec board president. You have been a thoughtful leader and steward of this congregation. For this we thank you. You have attended endless meetings, written countless emails, mainly to me, recruited dozens of volunteers, written innumerable newsletter articles. You have brought a spirit of dedication, love, and a deep, abiding faith in the growing, evolving spiritual community that is this congregation. For this we thank you. And in the next month or so, you are ending these commitments that you have held with such care. Each ending is also a beginning. The beginning of a new role, perhaps the beginning of a time when you can simply be here in worship and in community. Beginning of a time of renewal. We trust that you will find the right way to nurture your spirit and serve this community. For this, we thank you.
So I thank you. My life has been and will always be enriched for serving in this role. I'm grateful to have served with all of you. This community is has always been extremely supportive to me in that. And for the opportunity to serve, I thank all of you. And for the opportunity to take off this leadership hat, I thank you all as well.
For all those sitting in the pews, you too have opportunities for endings and beginnings. May this litany serve as a reminder that all members and friends of UCF have the ability and the obligation to say yes to service in this community, and also to say yes to stepping down after a time, even if it seems that no one else is ready to take your place. May each of you here accept an invitation to say yes to a new opportunity for service. Yes to an opportunity to nurture your spirit, and perhaps yes to an ending of your own. We trust that you will find the right way to nurture your spirit and serve this community. Let us now show our appreciation to Liz with a round of applause.
Thank you all.
We make space every Sunday for authentic and vulnerable sharing, which helps to build this congregation into beloved community. We invite you to share what's going on in your life, to name your feelings and the people in your heart in need of prayer, good energy, best wishes, and other help. We invite you to get into your body and investigate what emotions you're experiencing, to share them as you feel called, so we can help one another hold our joys, our grief, our in-between feelings. You are welcome to come pick up a stone or stones from the table, infuse it or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the singing bowl where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to share verbally something important on your heart, please come up and speak directly into the microphone. If you have submitted a joy or text, which I don't have the tablet with me, but usually people don't text, but if you do, I'll grab it. It will be, I'll read it aloud. All of you are welcome to participate in these ways. The silent sanctuary of our hearts. one for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace.
Let us take all of our joys and sorrows, both spoken out loud and unspoken, the unspoken joys and sorrows on our hearts, what we know from ourselves and stories of the folks here in our congregation. Let us take all of that into a moment of silence here together as we experience this space. I want to encourage you to put your feet on the floor, notice your tension, maybe that you're holding in your body, any worries or stress. Try to let that go. Breathe into the space here, and let us hold a moment of silence together. Spirit of love, let us feel this moment together. Let us send hope and comfort to those in pain and strife and worry. Let us feel joy and allow ourselves to feel all of life wherever we can. Joy and the sadness and the connection and the loss. All of this is all of life. Let us hold another moment of silence while we hear the birds and all the sounds of spring that have come together to this day. From your seats, let us sing number 123 in the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. Today is so many things. We've had a message for all ages. We've recognized long-term members. We've thanked this year's leaders. Later on at our meeting, we will elect next year's leaders. One of the things I believe is that we can hold both seriously and lightly many things at the same time. Just because one thing is happening doesn't, and something else is, doesn't take away from the seriousness of that other thing. So an interesting thing today, because this is also a month where we're talking about pluralism, so I know that some people may have some feelings about this, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Today happens to be the day of Pentecost in the Christian world. So I'm sure that you may have not even heard that uttered here, but I've just been thinking on it, and especially some of my colleagues have been thinking on it, so I thought it was actually kind of fascinating that it is today, on a day when we celebrate our flowers ceremony and all of the differences in what it is to live in community across so many differences. And so one of my colleagues, Reverend Misha Sanders, she actually shared this morning on Facebook. I find Facebook a fascinating place to pick up all kinds of helpful things, actually. And so Misha, that she wrote this morning, she has a background long before she came to Unitarian Universalism in a Christian Pentecostalist background. And so, we never let go of all of our old stuff. Everything is informed by who we are now. And so she writes, "Let me tell you about what being a Unitarian Universalist, raised Pentecostalist means to me. You know what is my favorite thing about the particular day at Pentecost described in the 2nd chapter of the Acts of Apostles? The most diverse group of people imaginable assembled in Jerusalem that day, and God showed them that they could celebrate common ground through diversity, not in spite of it. God didn't suddenly give everyone a common language or perspective. God didn't suddenly make everybody exactly the same. God spoke through people in the ways that others could understand. It was never about this woo-woo of speaking in tongues. It was and is about speaking clearly and deliberately in ways that draw people in and include us all. We can have differences. Even a group of people that if someone took a snapshot of this room, they would say, oh, those people are all the same. But we know we're all very different, aren't we? And so Misha argues that we can feel the Spirit, or whatever it is that speaks to you, we can feel that Spirit in our congregations when we do things like hire an American Sign Language interpreter. Have that available even if we don't have someone here who needs that service now. We are thinking ahead. Who are we making space for? We are making space when we always use a microphone when we speak because we know that there are people who need to hear us. And we make life easier for other people when we do that. We make space when we include a message for children, even when it could be complicated, even when it didn't go exactly according to plan. We make space. We make space when we literally set up our spaces to welcome people of all abilities. When we welcome unconventional families, whatever that may look like. When we find a way to navigate literal spoken language barriers. In a little bit, you're going to hear some ways that our choir is going to navigate some of that. We make space when we call people by their true names and pronouns. When we assure that our seating options accommodate all body sizes. When we lift the voices of the oppressed over all others. When we create worship that honors the needs of people with neurodiversity. When we make it a priority to share multicultural music. That, my friends, is how you know when we've caught something, perhaps beyond ourselves, whatever you want to call it, or, I add, living our faith as Universalists. Universalist is the first word of this congregation. We are always learning into becoming more love, whatever that is. Another multicultural, multi-faith congregation that I follow refers to this Sunday as the Day of the Miracle of Understanding. Across differences in cultures, people began to hear and understand each other. Truly, I feel that is the bigger picture always of what we are doing as Unitarians, Universalists, and Unitarian Universalists. And that idea is making space for all is embodied in the ritual we are going to do this morning here in our flower ceremony. Those of us who are what I call refugees from other faith traditions, we like to think we don't need ritual anymore. That rituals are just not necessary in that they are childish. There was a time in my life that I might have agreed with that statement. In fact, I went to seminary very confused about why do all these people need ritual and tradition until I attended some of their chapel services and left crying because I could feel what they were doing, whether I could name it or not. The spirit is beyond rational, beyond what we can actually name. I've come to believe that rituals are an important part of congregations specifically and our larger faith movement as a whole. Rituals are a fascinating balancing act of an original act, something that happened a long time ago or something that maybe happened last year or the year before. Like here, I've only been here 1 year and people say, oh, but we do this. And then I dig in and ask more questions and ask more questions. And then I find out, well, that thing has only happened once. So, so what is the ritual? What is the tradition? I don't know. We're all building it as we go, right? So the flower ceremony has adapted and changed based on the geographic location of the congregation who is actually doing this. In researching the history of this ritual, I learned that in Prague, Czechoslovakia, where this ritual actually began, this service takes place on the first Sunday in June. They ritually make it the first Sunday in June. I know that many of our congregations have already had this flower ceremony this year. Many are doing it today, and many others, like the one in Czechoslovakia, are going to be having it the first Sunday in June. We are not all the same. The changes and adaptations, I believe, are a great spiritual practice in helping us to be flexible and open to new ways of doing things while also retaining the spirit of the ritual itself. There are many ways to actually live it. This ritual also has an international aspect that reminds us that we are connected to Unitarians around the world, and we have a long history that should be remembered and celebrated. We go back a long ways, long before this ritual, actually, but sometimes we forget that, but we have a very long history. To share with you about the history of this particular tradition, I'm going to read sections from a reading called The Story of the Flower Communion by Reverend Sarah Movius Schur. This was part of a packet that celebrated the 100th year tradition ritual last year. So Reverend Movius Schur writes, the story of the Flower Communion begins in Prague, Czechoslovakia in June of 1923. With a Unitarian minister named Norbert Čapek. The city of Prague was in turmoil as it tried to recover from World War I. Czechs had traditionally been staunch supporters of religious freedom, but during many years of German rule, they had been forced to practice Catholicism. The people of Prague, embracing their new freedom, were trying to rebuild their community. But they were faced with widespread hunger and were lacking necessities such as warm clothes. Reverend Čapek was the minister of a new and growing Unitarian church in town. Čapek knew that during these hard times, people needed something special. He wanted a religious ritual that would bind his diverse community of people together in hope and care. He knew that traditional communion service of the local Catholic Church would not be comforting for many of his parishioners, but he wanted to keep the spirit of it. I tend to think of this part especially of, there's the song from our civil rights traditions, Bread and Roses. People need both bread and beauty. We need joy and hope, and sometimes that comes in beautiful things. Reverend Čapek looked to the beauty of nature to find a solution. For this special ritual, he asked everyone to bring a flower to the church. It could be from a cultivated garden, or it could be a wildflower from the side of the road. As one of my friends who's a flower farmer, she calls that roadsidea. Even a twig and leaf would be fine. As people entered the church, or as we call it here, the meeting house, the sanctuary, their flowers were collected in a large vase. Women in the congregation arranged all the flowers into a beautiful bouquet. At a special point in the service, the children brought forward the truly spectacular bouquet. So you can see how we've already diverged from that tradition. There are many ways to celebrate. The flowers were consecrated with prayers and hymns written by Reverend Chopik. At the end of the service, everyone was invited to take home a flower. But they were to take home a different flower than the one they brought. They were to take flowers just as they came, without regard for where they came from or who had brought them. No one knew who brought what. Just like this, unless you saw somebody bring in the flower, you don't know exactly which flower came from which person. Reverend Chopik wanted the diverse flowers in his service to symbolize people. Many different flowers can make a beautiful bouquet, and many different people can make a community. All have value and are important. The service was very successful, touching many people deeply. It became a church tradition. But this story also has a sad part. Hitler's troops began to occupy Prague in 1939, and by 1940, the Prague Unitarian Church was under the surveillance of the Gestapo, the Nazi police. Reverend Chopik and his Unitarian Church were not popular with the Nazis. Nazi court records state that Chopik was, quote, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. In 1942, Norbert Chopik was taken to the Dachau concentration camp and died in the gas chambers. We UUs, like so many other religious groups, have religious martyrs who died for their faith. We count Chopik as one of our heroes, not because he died, but because he was willing to take a stand for what was right and true, even if it meant he would be killed for doing so. Chopik showed us an example of courage to speak the truth of love, even when faced with the threat of death. Chopik's Flower Communion service has made a permanent difference in our faith. In 1939, Maya Chopik, Norbert Chopik's wife and a minister herself, brought the Flower Communion service to the United States at First Unitarian Brooklyn. It has been celebrated in the Unitarian and now Unitarian Universalist churches all over the continent ever since. Norbert Chopik may have died, but his touching ritual and his strong belief in affirming and celebrating the importance of everyone lives on. Today, Chopik's message lives on in this very service as we celebrate our Flower Communion this morning. Let us take a moment to pause together to think on how time and things and rituals also repeat across time. I think we can see that time being replayed now as we go into another election year. And what are we willing to do for our faith? Let us take a moment to contemplate. You may bring, making sure that mic is on. Oh. All the details, right? Please bring your attention back to this moment. Okay, all right. These flowers were brought to the front of this meeting house or sanctuary by those of you present here today. As you look upon these flowers, consider the diversity of this congregation as a whole. All of you represented here, those of you not here today that we know of, that are always in our hearts. How each of you is special and unique, and together, like these flowers, we create something beautiful that was not here before. These were all empty vases this morning. This ritual consists of each of you coming up and taking a flower you did not bring, and then later, after today's annual meeting, you will bring that flower home as a reminder of the beauty that was shared here together. When we begin, then the choir will be the first to come up, and they will pick up their flowers and put them down, and they are going to come up and sing a couple of songs about flowers for all of you. Our ushers will direct everyone from the back, and they will come up to the front, and then you will take your flowers and come around to the side to go back so that everyone can come up. Our ushers will direct, but participation, just like everything else in the UU world, participation is not required. Your presence is gratefully received. You can enjoy the moment. You are welcome to come up and receive. Some of you may be visiting here for the first time today, or you did not know about today's flower communion, or maybe you forgot some flowers. Don't worry about it. There is always abundance for all here. Everyone is welcome, and everyone can participate in this special ritual. There is always enough. That is the grace of this beloved community. All may come forward after the choir. Well, pick up your flowers first. And now I would actually like to call up Neil Cardone, who is going to give his membership moment.
Hello. Hi. All right. So, yeah, here to share my reflection as a UCF member and as a UU. My name is Neil, formerly known as Anthony. You probably know me as the choir tenor. My pronouns are he, they. You may wonder what that means. For me, I can go by they, them, but I also don't mind being referred to by he, him either. I've been a member since 2016, I think, and then became a member in 2017. I'm not great with remembering specific years, but it's been at least 5 years. Thanks, Reverend Karen, for making me calculate that earlier. Yeah, I was working in an office on Halsted and 12 Mile. Passed by this church multiple times. Curiosity got the best of me. Came and was told to join the choir, and yeah, it's been here since then. So my name change to Neil came about from my conversion to Hinduism, and in my experience, my Yu identity and my Hindu identity mesh pretty well together. Hinduism is not, in fact, a singular religion, but more an umbrella term for diverse spiritual traditions in the Indian subcontinent that do share some common tenets like dharma, karma, nonviolence, and belief in the ancient Vedic scriptures, but they differ significantly in other ways. But they united under one pluralist identity in political opposition to the British imperialism when India was under colonial rule, which created a precedent for universalism in modern-day Hinduism that teaches that all spiritual paths are valid. So I feel like they kind of mesh well together for me. I appreciate how this community, and especially the choir, has embraced and accepted me and my path and my own search for truth. I love music and appreciate how the choir has given me a great musical outlet. I also love that I can invite friends to come attend services without worrying about invalidating their beliefs or lack thereof. I'm grateful that I found this congregation, and I appreciate the work it does and how it represents acceptance, diversity, compassion, and justice. Thank you.
Generosity is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come along to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. Thank you very much. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing our closing hymn, We Are One. It is the insert in your order of service.
Our closing words, let us remember in the Unitarian teaching of we really, truly are one. The Universalist teaching of love is for all people everywhere. We believe in holding a space of oneness and love for all. May it ever be so, celebrating all our differences across different ideas, different ways of living. We truly are one. May it ever be so. And now we're going to hear our postlude, but come right back here in 10 minutes for our annual meeting, okay? See you then.